I have no opening statement, so I wasn't expecting a press conference. If anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to attempt to answer them.
Coach?
How'd it go?
Good.
Thanks.
Yeah. Good. You know, good. It's good to start. You feel like when you start, you can lay down a benchmark of where you are, and gives you a place to go forward from, a place to improve from, things to get better at.
Coach, can you talk about the way you build competition in practice with some of the things you implement?
Some of the things we do to build, I mean, it's football. I mean, that's a very competitive sport.
Are there small things you do, though, to encourage guys to anything?
I'm sure there are. But I don't really have that list in front of me right now.
Coach over here, you said you wanted to find out what their intent was in winter conditioning. Were you pleased with some of the results you saw from that?
Yes. Team's in very good shape. Kevin Tolbert, his staff, did a very nice job, and the fellows did a nice job. You could see that throughout practice. The team's in good condition, and that gives us a fighting chance.
Jim, do you know how much install you want to do this spring versus just evaluating the guys and getting a feel for the team? Do you know how you're going to balance that at this point?
We'll do both.
How long before you how long is the evaluation process going to be, do you think, with these, till you get a good feel for who's going to be where and that type of thing?
Daily. Every day there'll be an evaluation process on every player in every drill. And that will go, that's ongoing, that's always.
Aside from Drake Johnson and Khalid Hill, are there any players that won't be full contact, full go through spring practice?
Yeah, Sione Huma had a procedure done. He'll be working through something all spring.
Can you say what that is? Is it upper body, lower body?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, he'll be out for the spring, and he'll be working through something and be back. It's not a long-term thing, we don't think. I think he'll be back for summer conditioning and fall camp.
Down here, John.
Assuming you're not going to name a starting quarterback until August sometime, what can these quarterbacks earn this spring in terms of your trust, in terms of positioning, that sort of thing?
We're not putting a timetable on that. I mean, that'll be the one position I'm sure we'll talk about, and they don't have one to name today, but I don't know. At some point, you'd like to think that that's clear cut, and somebody earns that, and it's not close. That's what we'll be hoping for. But they were all good to start, and there's going to be good competition at that position.
John, you guys have 7 quarterbacks in camp right now, is that right? 7?
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle the rotation of that at this point? How much time are you spending with them individually, day to day in practice as things are going, or what's your plan for that, I guess?
Well, keeping everybody involved. Got multiple individual periods and opportunities for the quarterbacks to get reps.
Is it just you working with them? Does Jed work with them individually? How does that work?
Yeah, we do. I mean, it's Jed does. I do. Tim Drevno has input. Our coaches, running back coach will have something to say to him at a certain time. Jay Harbaugh will have something to say to him at times. It's a group effort.
Jim, have you experienced maybe any, I don't want to call it lag, but any transition coming from NFL going back to the college ranks? Is there any different, or is this coaching?
I think that is coaching.
Brady Palante moving to fullback. There was Ross Douglas moved to cornerback. Can you talk about what they bring to those positions and why those moves were made?
I wouldn't say any moves have been made. I mean, there's people are trying to. We're looking at. We don't mandate what positions a player plays. I mean, some guys are trying out at multiple positions. Both sides of the ball. It's too early to say what what's going to take place, or nothing's set in stone that way. We're still trying to figure out who the best players are right now. Just had one practice so far.
Coach, working with the quarterbacks, can you just talk a little bit about the labor,
And their best position.
the labor of love
You
that
don't know
appears to
exactly.
be for you?
We don't know exactly, just to finish, so we thought there, we don't know what everybody's best position is, or, what, who the best players are at those positions after one practice, and that'll be a process. So nothing's been done.
Working with the quarterbacks, can you just talk about the labor of love it appears to be for you, and how much you just really enjoy getting in there? And
I do. It's the fun part about being the head coach. You can coach any position. You can coach them all. At any time. That's a fun thing about the job of head coach. So I like coaching all the positions at some point.
In front of your mark.
Jim, over here. When do you want to have a tentative depth chart? At the end of spring, or later in the two days? I mean, do you have an idea? You want to come out of spring with something that way?
You need one at some point. When would you like to have one?
We have one today. If you got one ready.
We don't have that. We don't have that list in front of us right now.
Is that the goal though? By the end of spring, to have somewhat of a 2 deep, at least rough.
Hadn't thought about that. At what point, a deadline or a goal to have a depth chart? No, I don't have that. Haven't thought about that.
Stay there, John.
You've put trust in Tim Drevno over the years with your offensive lines. What is it that he does that is good with these guys, and how much can they come along during the course of a spring?
He's a fantastic coach, Tim Drevno. It's day one. We're not really answering questions as much as we are asking questions. What can we do? How can we get better? Where do we need to? Where can we improve? Where can we get a mile an hour faster? Where can we get a % better? And we're all in that process right now. Day one.
Obviously, there's a lot of snow out there. It's real cold. How important was it to get an early start and just to get the team together and see what you had on the field?
Well, we were inside.
Yeah.
We have an indoor building.
But just to get an early start with spring practice.
I thought that was important. We really haven't had football, since last November. Didn't have a bowl or bowl practices, but felt like the time to do it as early as we could. Wanted to make sure we got a good 7-8 weeks of conditioning before we did it.
Are there specific goals or priorities of things you want to accomplish over the next month or so, 5-6 weeks?
Yeah, we're just really trying to get better every day. Trying to be better today than we were yesterday. Trying to be better tomorrow than we were today. I know that sounds very simplistic, but just so simple it might work.
A follow-up question on the quarterbacks is 7. You have 2 more coming in this summer. Is there a point where there's too many to work with, or you have to pare that down?
I don't know that there's an exact number, but make sure that right now they're throwing the balls out there and letting the fellas compete, and the more good ones you have, the better.
Time for a couple more questions over here. On the right, Jake.
Coach, after seeing your team go through some things today for the first time after winter conditioning, anything surprise you from any of the guys that after coming out of the conditioning?
No, I felt they were in good shape. We'd worked with them last week for 2 days and saw their conditioning was at a high level.
Back over here, Nick.
Jim, over here.
One thing that surprised me was a 4-hour practice and it just flew by. It's like time flies by when you're having fun.
Sticking with that, how much of it right now is them getting used to how you run a practice, you getting used to how they are in practice? I mean, how much of it is still, one foot in front of the other in terms of that?
I'd just say it was good, from that standpoint. everybody, you're in uncharted waters, somewhat to your point, but that can be, that's sometimes a really good thing. You know, some people thrive on that, and it's life-giving energy.
And then you said Sione is going to miss camp. Other guys, is he the only one?
I said he was going to miss spring.
Miss
He'll
spring.
be back for camp.
Miss spring. So who else is out in total, injured-wise?
I think we mentioned 2 other names.
So those 2 guys, Khalid and Drake, are not in?
Correct.
What kind of grade would you give today just on the effort and the energy and what you saw out there today?
I thought it was very good.
Coach, I'm hoping for those that don't have access to you often, myself among them, can you take a second and reflect on the day? You only get one first practice as a head coach at Michigan. I'm also interested as you look forward in the East, in particular, Ohio State, Michigan State, the years to come. Some call this we're potentially entering a golden age of football in terms of the Big Ten and what could be. But reflect, if you would, on your day, and then moving forward in the fall when you talk about rivalry games and what you foresee.
It's a great day. It's like a new year. Said this before, but a lot of people think January 1st is the start of the new year, and those that believe in Christianity, espouse the Catholicism, believe that correlates with the birth of Christ. But we in football treat the first day of spring practice as the new year. So it's like your birthday. It's like the New Year's. It's Thanksgiving. You're thankful that you can participate in football. It's like Christmas. You have this gift. It's like a family reunion. It's all those things all rolled into one. It's happening. It's like the first day of school. Lay your clothes out the night before and pack your lunchbox tight and you head off to school. This is everybody knows that feeling. And in football, you get 2 New Year's days: first day of spring practice and first day of fall practice. Very, very enthusiastic, very energetic day. Like to bottle it. You know, the kind of enthusiasm where people show up early and they're excited to get to work. At some point, we'll have to open that bottle up, and use it to get better. So, yeah, that's how I would describe it.
No full circle moments for you today, though, at all? I mean, I know you're focused on what you're doing, but as far as, the position being yours and this, just another day.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
With a capital G.
Do you want to touch on the rivalries? Second question about the rivalries and being in the East Division of Ohio State.
I mean, a lot of people think that a general rule I've heard people say some teams are up and down in terms of history of the rivalries. MSU, Michigan in particular, Michigan more up and down maybe, but we have a chance, a lot of fans feel this in the next few years, to really have an incredible division together. The competition can really be unique in terms of a lifetime of football that I've been watching.
Yeah, our expectations are really high, and they were high for a great practice today, and they'll be high for a great practice on Thursday, and great meetings on Wednesday, tomorrow. Try to make those the best of the year if we can, and make Thursday's practice and drills the best of the spring. But our expectations are very high for that.
All right. Thank you. Oh, Angelique, you had a question?
Actually, I had 2, Jim. I mean, you said you're going to have more questions than answers, and you sort of touched on it, but at some point, when do you really want to start sort of figuring out what some of these answers are? And do you need to have answers by the end of the spring going into summer workouts? And my second question is, there's been some talk about freshmen ineligibility in Big Ten. What would be your opinion on that?
I don't know if you needed somebody else weighing in on that. I'm sure there's other people that are weighing in on it. So count me as the one that's not weighing in on that. Not one more person adding their opinion to that. And to your other question, I think it's fair. I think it's right. I mean, it's the first day. We just had one practice. So yeah, we're going to be. How can we get better? What can we do to, what is it that'll work? So we'll just keep grinding on it. You have our vow that we'll do that.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you very much.